What was the medieval city of Karnak famous for? What does a tree which is more than 1,000 years old look like? What is left of Sauran, once an important point on the Great Silk Road? What secrets do the sands of South Kazakhstan keep, and what did archaeologists find out during excavations? All this in the new episode of Welcome to Kazakhstan Project. Thousands of years ago, when caravans incessantly walked along the Great Silk Road, the city life was in full swing in the south of Kazakhstan. Everything here resembled the fairy tales 1001 Nights. What is left of those legendary times today? We will find out on our trip to the Turkestan region. This is Welcome to Kazakhstan Project. My name is Zakirjan Mamlutov. Let's broaden our horizons. The village of Karnak is located 25 kilometers from Turkestan. The first mention of it was made by the historian Mahmud Kashgari in a work of 1074. There it was described as an august city. Once Karnak was the center of culture. There were more than 20 mosques and madrasas. Products from cast iron, lead, copper and other metals were cast here. A giant Thai kazan in the mausoleum of Hoja Ahmed Yasawi was cast in this very village from an alloy of 7 different metals. Leatherworking also flourished. They made shoes, quivers, harnesses. The village of Karnak has a 2,000-year history. One of the oldest monuments of the village is the Shah Muhammad Eshan Mosque Madrasa. It is currently a museum. In 1896, the building housed a madrasa. From 1910 to 1928, an orphanage. And in 1980s, the mosque was restored by local residents.
Заповедники Азрет Султан в мечети Шаммат Ишан есть свой кулуэт.
As in the Azret Sultan Museum Reserve, the Shamat Ishan Mosque has its own kiluyat, an underground room where believers could hide from the scorching heat and devote themselves to prayers. They say that those who wanted to become an imam had to stay here for at least 40 days, while constantly reading prayers and thinking about enlightenment. But the main attraction of Karnak is the Mulberry Tree. It is over 13 centuries old. It will take about 10 people to embrace its trunk. The height of the tree reaches 9 meters. Among the people, the tree has its own name, Mashratut. It is possible that the tree would have collapsed long ago under its own weight, but the Karnak people take care of it, erect supports, and take care of the trunk and roots.
Еще в Китае знали, что в казахской степи находится огромное большое дерево, старинное очень.
Even in China, they knew that in the Kazakh steppe there was a huge, very old tree, that it could accommodate about 200 people under its branches. When the ambassador arrived from the Kazakh steppe in 1757, he was asked, "How is this tree?" The Chinese emperor himself asked about this. It is written that the emperor gave an assignment to one poet, and he wrote about a lonely old tree in the Kazakh steppe. It is possible that this tree is the one mentioned in the Chinese chronicles.
Упоминается в китайских хрониках.
гласит, что в 8 веке наместник...
Legend says that in the 8th century, the governor of the Arab caliphs and the propagator of Islam, Qutayba ibn Muslim, visited these places. He stuck a mulberry stick into the ground and it sprouted. I wonder if he had any idea that in 1,000 years his creation would attract tourists from all over the world. But Karnak does not end the list of amazing places. Moving along the Turkestan-Kızılorda highway, the attention of the driver will certainly be attracted by the battlements of the medieval fortress. How did they appear in the steppe? It is simple. 45 kilometers from Turkestan, there are excavations and restoration work of archaeologists at the Sauran settlement, the first mention of which dates back to the beginning of the 10th century AD.
Қаладан тұрады. Қаратөбе Сауран.
The Sauran complex consists of 4 cities. The oldest of them is Karatabe Sauran, dating back to the 12th, 13th centuries BC. Outside, it was surrounded by 7 mounds, and the total area of the city was 36 hectares. There is an opinion that in the 13th, 14th centuries, the city moved to another place, due to the fact that underground waters had dried up. Historians call the new city New Sauran. Its area was 50 hectares. It became the capital of Akorda in 1320s and existed until the second half of the 18th century.
Только взобравшись на крепостной вал, понимаешь все масштабы города.
Only when you climb onto the rampart you understand the full scale of the city. It is oval, within the radius of probably 1.5 kilometers, the most powerful fortification of that era. Let's explore further. The main gate is in the northeastern part of the wall, with 2 towers, which are 2-story and protrude outward. The entrance is a 20-meter corridor. It was from the gate that the main street ran, dividing the city into 2 equal parts. 150 meters from the southwest wall, it ran into another wide street. In addition to them, there were many small streets and dead ends in the city.
Говорят, в Сауране в начале 20 века жил всего лишь один человек – старик Мулла.
They say that at the beginning of the 19th century, only one person lived here, an old mullah. Now, accordingly, no one lives here, except such little animals, turtles, gophers, and birds. Excavations are being carried out on an area of almost 50 hectares. It was established that it was here that the first madrasa in the history of the region was opened. The secret of the good preservation of buildings is in the unique local clay. Thanks to its properties, today you can find out where the Karnak was located, where the bathhouse was, and where the caravansary was. To this day, restorers use Sauran clay to reconstruct demolished buildings.
Отдельного внимания заслуживает сеть подземного.
The underground water supply network that existed in Sauran deserves special attention. Its total length is 120 kilometers. Water came from the foothills of the Karatau Ridge. Excavations show that Sauran was a highly advanced city. For example, ceramic fragments of the ancestors of modern toilet bowls were found here. This is the oldest find of this type in Central Asia. Judging by the pots covered with inscriptions, the locals were already familiar with writing in ancient times. Long before the arrival of the Mongols, the city had a well-developed infrastructure.
Упадок Саурана связывают с открытием морского пути из Европы.
The decline of Sauran is associated with the opening of the sea route from Europe to India. The Great Silk Road became empty, and the cities standing on it became deserted. This is how changes in logistics routes influenced the life of Asian cities. Every year, archaeological expeditions discover more and more structures of ancient Sauran. For instance, quite recently, the cleaning of the unique mint of the 14th, 15th centuries began here. It used to be a part of a huge architectural object made of burnt bricks. It is likely that it was here that the mint of Akorda, the first Kazakh state, was located. The city Juma Mosque, the largest at that time in Central Asia, is also of great interest. Other legends tell that from Sauran to Turkestan there was once a network of underground passages. The passage's height was such that a horse rider could ride through them. Such rumors were born because of the wide tunnels necessary for the inflow of water from the mountains. They were part of the city's water supply system, and specially trained people took care of them. There is no doubt that in the coming years, during the excavations, other secrets of ancient Sauran will be revealed. Some witnesses of ancient times are still with us, like a mulberry tree in Karnak. Some cities, like Sauran, have long been covered with sand. But if you find yourself in the Turkestan region, do not miss the opportunity to personally touch the living pages of history. Welcome to Kazakhstan.